Well, hello there, YouTube. I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Happy New Year to everybody out there that might be new to the channel. Hope the holidays were good to everybody, but it's 2021 and it's time to get going today. Let's start out this year by talking about getting started on a plant-based diet. Guys, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you'd go down and hit that red subscribe button, then click on the little bell and check send notifications so you'll stay subscribed to the channel and you can come check out more of my content. Now, if you're new here, which I'm hoping a lot of people are based on the title of this video, I talk a lot about a raw food diet, and I've got some good information here, and I think I've got a lot of information about a raw food diet that will translate over to, however you're doing this thing of this journey of your own, plant-based, whatever you want to call it. I think listen, like I say, this is a step backwards. So if you're already one of the hardcore raw people, this is probably not a video for you. Now, if you're raw and you have an open mind and maybe the raw hasn't worked out for you to the way that you want it to work out for you, there's never anything wrong with taking a step back. Just because I do videos like this doesn't mean I'm, getting rid of the raw stuff or I'm trying to downplay the raw stuff. I just know how people's minds work. I know how people are, and there's just very few people that are going to go fully raw. There's very few people that are going to jump straight from, say, like start off their plant-based journey going fully raw. So, that's neither here nor there. All I want to do is like give a lot of different options to people and let people. You can take this as far as not as far as you want to. So do with it what you will. So, when we're talking about a plant-based diet, a vegan diet, I think the thing that gets people into trouble the most is it's just like they just hear plant-based or they just hear vegan. If it's a plant-based product, it's okay. And I don't want to make judgments in this video, and I don't want to be hardcore and say, you don't need to eat this, you don't need to eat that. But I just kind of want to like maybe steer you in a direction I believe that will serve you a little bit better. When we talk about a plant-based diet, we should be like, let me expand that a little bit. I'm talking about a whole food plant-based diet. I'm not talking about boxes of stuff in the grocery store. I'm not talking about frozen this or frozen. I'm not talking about, these products that are put together that are a plant-based product that you put in your microwave and heat up or put in your oven. I'm not talking about, all these fake meats and cheeses and the fake plant-based and vegan products out there. Although I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to be a purist and talk bad about them. I think they have their part. I think they have their place, but I'd be very careful with those. To me, I think a lot of those processed products, they have their place in when you're transitioning to a plant-based diet, and we'll talk a little bit about my thoughts on transition here in a couple of minutes. So think whole food plant-based. Think real foods, think sweet potatoes, think legumes, think vegetables, think fruits. And once again, we're not being fanatic with this, and we're not saying you're going to eat 100%, unprocessed food or whole plant-based food, but we're trying to do the best we can. And the reason I like to started out talking about the whole foods, is you got to focus on nutrition from day one on this lifestyle. That is why so many people fall by the wayside. That is why a lot of the stuff you see out there, like, oh well, you can't be healthy and eat vegan, or you can't be healthy and eat plant-based, because there's so many bad examples out there of people on these woo-woo ways of thinking, or they're not coming from science. They're not coming from nutrition. So focus on getting that nutrition into your body. It's not going to work. This lifestyle's not going to work on junk food. It's not going to work on fake food. And I respect the people. Like, sometimes you get a little pushback from people that that just strictly came to this from an ethical standpoint. But think about it like this: even if you're doing this, for an ethical thing for the animals 100%, and you didn't even care about your health, you sort of need to focus on your health, because that's why people eventually leave. They don't just leave. I've been doing the raw thing for a while, and I've seen a lot of people stop doing raw, but people stop being plant-based. And a reason a lot of people stop being plant-based, and a reason even a lot of people stop being vegan, is because the nutrition's not there, and they don't feel good. And after a while, if you don't feel good long enough, your ethics are probably not going to keep you in there. So what I'm saying is there doesn't have to be a debate. Do you do it for this reason, or do you do it for that reason? But do it in a healthy way, so you can sustain this, and this can become like a lifelong way of eating. So eat that real food. And there's a lot of different resources out there. I want to talk about some of the different resources that I like to point people to. And I was watching some content over the weekend, and I'm thinking I point people to these sources because they make sense to people. There's some science behind this. Now, anybody that I point you to, don't please, you're shortchanging yourself if you want to argue and be like, oh, well, this person said this thing, I don't agree with that. You can show me 25 people on this subject. I'm not going to agree with 100% of what they say, but I guarantee you, all these people that I've ever mentioned in any videos here, the people that I'm going to mention here, I take some good, solid material from them. So don't focus so much on the things that you disagree with people about. See what you can take from there. We're not all the same, and I'll tell you something. If you get 100 people together doing this lifestyle, I would say you're lucky if you find 10 people that agree on anything. So some of the people, and another tenet, let me go through all the real simple stuff, the real simple things that I really just think are the basics here. As far as I'm talking about nutrition, before I get into the various people, there's also this SOS version of this lifestyle that I personally believe in myself, and fits more into my raw way of eating, and it's salt, oil, and sugar free. Once again, you're choosing how much you put in, how much you don't put in, and there's a lot of good information on why to do that, and there's a lot of the sources that I'm going to mention to you in a minute talk about this. But when we say salt, way too much salt, sodium in the diet, especially on the standard American diet. But sometimes when I'm in a store, I look at these products. And this vegan food and this plant-based food that's packaged in the stores. Soups, just all different kinds of things like that. One thing that you can always find in this processed stuff is a high sodium content. So once again, whether you go sometimes people think it's got to be all or nothing. Well, I'm not going to eat no salt, and you probably do need a little bit of healthy salt in your life, but basically salt, oil, sugar free. Why oil? And people will look. There's people that can explain that much better than me. I can't sit here and do a detailed explanation because people say, but healthy oil, olive oil, this oil, that oil. In my opinion, it's concentrated fat. It's concentrated fat. If you look at how it fills up your stomach, if you look at the fat amount and the calorie amounts of a very small, like a couple of tablespoons of olive oil, you can eat so much more food to fill up your stomach with that. But once again, I'm not a fanatic on that. I'm not going to tell you that I never use a little bit of olive oil. I use some olive oil on a dish I made for New Year's Day, but I use it very, very, very seldom. And then sugar. Now, I get plenty. I have no reason to add any processed or extra sugar to anything I do because I'm eating the fruit. I'm getting natural sugar all the time. So think like that. Nutrition, whole food. Like that's a big start right there. If you were to stop right now, you've heard whole foods, real foods, beans, potatoes, rice. I don't tend to do the grains as much, but rice, fruits, vegetables, foods, salt, oil, sugar free. Focus on your nutrition, and that will take you most of the way. Now, who are some of these people? Also, too, let's talk about the transition for a minute, because this is one that people go back and forth on. And my thoughts on a transition on just going from a standard American diet to plant-based are a lot different than my thoughts on a transition to a raw food diet. People that have watched my videos before, if you're still sticking around, in a simple video, on a basic video like this, I've talked about transitioning to a raw diet before, and I do recommend a slower transition, a little bit more of a thought out transition to get to the raw part. But if you're coming from a standard American diet to a plant based diet, I personally think you can go vegan. I think you can go plant based overnight. Um, Now, if you need, like I said, in the transition periods, if you need to use some of the fake meats, if you need to use some of the fake cheeses, if you need to use, a little bit higher fat, if you need to put a little bit of salt in there, a little bit of oil, in the beginning, that's okay because you are new to this lifestyle. But I don't see, listen, when I came to this lifestyle, I was a drunk for 30 years. I used to barbecue meat. I used to smoke meat to make barbecue. I was a heavy meat eater. Chicken wings, football season was basically about drinking and eating chicken wings 3 days a week. So I can relate because I've been there. I'm not this person that was some hippie, eating fruits and berries his whole life. And even though I went high raw and I did mine a different way, I think I don't see any problem in going from a standard American diet to a plant based overnight, just like that. Like I say, you might not want to be so fanatic about every little choice you make, but still from day one, focus on the nutrition. I want to say that over and over and over and over. Focus on the nutrition when you get started on this lifestyle. Now, some of the people that and resources I'm going to mention to you, everybody has probably seen this documentary, or a lot of people come to this lifestyle plant. Forks Over Knives. Get the book, go to the website. They put out a magazine 4 times a year. This magazine is $9.99. It usually has anywhere from 70 to 100 recipes in here, really good recipes based on that salt, oil, sugar-free principle. So this is a fantastic book. In the first part of the book, it's got some of the best explanations on a plant-based diet, just real simple, basics, good stuff. So check out Forks Over Knives. Another one of my favorites is Dr. Michael Greger. His book, How Not to Die. I think he's got another one, How Not to Diet, I don't know if there's 2 different books because I watch his videos. There's a lot of videos out there, and actually I had gone raw I went raw early on, so I kind of came to Dr. Greger a little bit later. But How Not to Die, How Not to Diet. And I'll put the names of these in the description below down there. Another one that I got recently that's kind of a step back because I was wanting to read on some stuff, that I wasn't all that familiar with, just basic stuff. Eat to Live by Dr. Joel Fuhrman. Dr. Joel Fuhrman, he's another one that I've just recently started listening to, reading lately. Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, he's like one of the pioneers of this lifestyle. I think the guy's probably in his 90s now. He's either in his late 80s or in his 90s. He was a heart surgeon, I believe, a cardiac surgeon. Has been doing this lifestyle for I don't know how many decades. His son does this lifestyle, and a lot of his information, like I say, is just basic, straightforward, how to do this thing and how to do this thing in a healthy manner. Dr. Michael Klaper, I've been watching it, so I've had people recommend him to me. I've started watching some of his stuff lately. And I'm probably going to leave somebody out, but these will get you started. But like I say, I just want to be your gateway. There's a lot, look at a lot of the videos these people make. Google them, search them here on YouTube, and they have a lot of good information for you. I mean, like I say, I'm just a conduit. I'm like a gateway. I try to point you in the direction of different people. And personally, I think more people should do that on YouTube because, I could like try to memorize all these great people do and do a long ass video, but it's like they say it so much better. I was watching a talk by Dr. Klaper yesterday, and I'm just like, he says it's like you could listen to a student versus listening to a professor, and all the professors are here on YouTube. So anyhow, don't want to ramble too long. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you found it helpful. If you found it helpful, maybe give it a like, subscribe, share with your friends that might be interested in this lifestyle, and I'll have more for you later. Now, I normally do stuff on a raw food diet here, but I am going to have just a lot more just simple plant-based stuff this year. So have a great day, a great week, and I'll see you again in a couple of days. Peace.